Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Learning Renewal convening, our monthly convening. Excited to have everybody with us. I'm going to just kind of go over really quickly what our cadence is, just as a reminder. We have a presentation for you, then opportunity for questions. And then we also have Dina with us from ICCB. If you have any questions regarding state, what the state is thinking, what's going on there. And then in addition to that, if you have any challenges or barriers or things like that, for our hour together, we're welcome to discuss those as well. We have some exciting professional development that's an adjacent to or in addition to the sessions that we have in our fall convenings coming up. So I'll be sharing that today. But before I get started, I want to, Dina, do you want to welcome or have any comments for welcome this morning? Oh, you're muted. I'm going to say she's good. And she's very excited to be with us today. Dina has been traveling this week. So as you can see by her, there you're unmuted. I was going to say she's in a car, so she's traveling on her way home today.
Yes, and thank you all for being here. I'm sorry, I don't know why I was struggling to find the actual button on my phone, but really excited to have you all with us and really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. And now I'm going to hand the floor over to Dora Welker, who is our facilitator for today. And today we're going to be talking about building summer bridge programs that make a difference. We're going to be featuring two colleges, both Highland Community College and South Suburban College. So with that, Dora, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, Amy, go to the next slide. Okay, what we're going to cover today on the agenda, I'm just going to do some brief introductions, cover an overview, and we're going to get to hear from Highland Community College and South Suburban College summer bridge programs, and then we'll allow questions, and then we'll just close out from the presentation. And the next slide. Just some introductions. I am a consultant for the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support, and with us today is Liz Gerber. She's the Vice President, SSO for Student Development and Support Services for Highland Community College. And we have Debbie King, Vice President for Student and Enrollment Services for South Suburban College. So the next slide, Amy. Now, prior to hearing from our two community colleges, I wanted just to take a moment to provide a brief overview of why we're highlighting bridge programs. COVID-19 had an impact on students entering community colleges. Because of the lack of in-person learning, they had a lot of loss of academic learning. So this resulted in students not having the college and career readiness skills necessary to succeed. So it's really important that community colleges provide learning renewal resources for students so they could be successful. And bridge programs have really become necessary to help prepare those students so they can build their skills quickly and so they can move towards their desired career. So if we could go on the next slide, Amy. And we're going to talk about two summer bridge programs that we're hearing from today. One is from Highland Community College and one from South Suburban College. I'm going to turn it over to Liz Gerber from Highland Community College, and she's going to present.
So Liz, I went ahead and stopped sharing, and you should be able to just be able to share your screen there.
Okay, can everyone see that screen? Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. I want to tell you just really quickly about Highland. If you're not familiar, we're in the northwest corner of Illinois. We're very rural, but we have a large geographic district that covers territory all the way over to Iowa and up to Wisconsin. We're a very small institution, and the region's population has been declining over the last decade, but being small can have its advantages. And one of those is the flexibility of being able to try new approaches fairly quickly to our challenges. So our Success Center here at Highland has been providing a bridge program for really, I couldn't even go back to the first one, but at least 5 years. We have had some sort of summer bridge And really, I would say at first it probably qualified more as a math boot camp. Our main focus when we first started this initiative was on bringing math skills up to college level, or at least increasing them from the time of the placement test to the time of fall enrollment. We then later added English, and as you're going to hear during this brief presentation, we've since added some other non-cognitive skill building. The results have been really quite positive. I say most, but really it's almost every one of the students who has completed the bridge program has improved their skills, either in math or English, depending on how they were placing. And many have actually achieved college level placement after participating in the bridge program. So I want to tell you a little bit about our summer bridge. And I'm actually going to expand a little bit into what we're now doing with an adult bridge program as well. But let's start with our summer bridge. We have a quick start program where we work with the high schools in our district to provide enrollment services before they complete their high school, right towards the end of high school before they graduate. And we have about 17 high schools. So it's a pretty significant effort for us in the spring semester. And then we utilize those placement scores that students receive during their quick start process to reach out and recruit them for the bridge program. Now, our pool has been a little smaller lately since we really started to utilize multiple measures, but that still is the appropriate way for us to target the students who need this the most. When they begin their bridge program, we're looking at pre-testing them in math and English, depending on their needs. And then we also have a post-test to be sure that we're achieving the objectives of the bridge program and that the students are improving their skills. During the height of the pandemic, however, we recognized that we needed to add some additional skills. Now, I really wish that I could name for you the two institutions that I know our Director of Retention Services worked with to get more information. They were sort of our aspirational schools that we wanted to learn from. However, she recently retired and she's on a post-retirement trip. So I don't remember the names of those two institutions right now. But I can say that one of the things we appreciate most in Illinois are those commissions that we learn from. We share our best practices, and we're able to really then improve our own programs based on what our other schools are doing here in Illinois. So we revised our goal a little bit from not just improvement in placement, but also improving some of those additional skills that would help a student be retained and be successful. I did want to touch a little bit on some of the challenges and the opportunities that we have. One of the things that I think works well for us at Highland is that we combine that bridge program with our first year experience summer course for one of the sections or two, depending on the demand. And this allows us to make sure the student is getting 2 credit hours from our first year experience course, and really accomplishing that. It's a requirement for our degree seeking students. So it allows us to make sure they're accomplishing that during the summer at the same time that they're building those academic skills and improving their placement. We also find it really important to have faculty support and to have the right instructor for this summer course. We've been fortunate to work with a part-time instructor who has a history of teaching both our first year experience course and developmental reading and writing courses. So that was a very good fit for us. But we do work with our full-time faculty as well in the development of curriculum and in working with them to make sure that we're aligning what we're teaching and what students are learning in that bridge program with the needs in that college level course. I did want to touch on recruitment just a little bit. It can be challenging. Sometimes students perceive this as a negative. They don't have that college level skill. We found that parents and guidance counselors can be our best advocates for the bridge program. They see those advantages to helping students during the summer months. And so we work really hard to make sure that the way we're talking about this program with students is positive, and it talks about the advantage of getting started during the summer and improving those skills at that time. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I do have some concerns ongoing about sustainability with funding. been very fortunate with the Gear 2 funds and with the bridge funding to really grow this program, to add new components. And it's going to be important to try to transition that at some point to our operating budget. While I don't have solutions to share, what I can say is that I'm really trying to emphasize working with our institutional research office to make sure that we're gathering the data we need and the evidence to show that this is having an impact on retention. I wanted to also talk a little bit about our expansion with those bridge funds. And what we're doing is building a non-traditional adult bridge that will start this January during the spring semester. We're still combining those math and English skill building with those success skills or non-cognitive skills that we believe are important and students tell us are important. Our marketing is going to change a little bit for this adult bridge. We have done some data mining internally to make sure that we can target our GED recent graduates, people that stopped out during the pandemic, and then also people who inquired, maybe applied during the pandemic and didn't enroll. So we're utilizing data from our internal systems. We're also building social media and digital marketing to help us reach out to people in our area. Because we have that bridge funding, we're also able to offer an incentive this time around. And so students are going to have the fees and tuition waived for the first year experience bridge course and also for an additional 3 credit hour course. So they'll really be able to get a little bit of impact with 5 credit hours under their belts. Additionally, we've been able to add wraparound services, both peer mentoring and success coaches. We think this is going to be a terrific component. And also we think it's going to help us in selling this to our prospective students. If we can help them early on start working with a mentor and normalizing that support, that's really going to maybe lower some barriers. We've embedded supplemental instructors in a number of courses and peer mentors and tutors in a number of courses, which we believe is going to help with that wraparound after they complete the bridge program and enter into some college courses. I wanted to also show some of the ways that, or talk about some of the ways that we've mined our own data to determine what should be in that bridge program. We started using Ruffalo Noel Levitz's college student inventory a few years ago. And this tells us a student's receptivity to support on that individualized level. It tells us what kinds of supports the student may need. And then also we're able to look at it, the aggregated data and say, okay, what do all of our students point to as their needs? And here are 3 of the main areas that we've discovered and that we're trying to incorporate into that bridge program. And touching on just a little bit of the components for the bridge program, in addition to improving those academic skills, as we've already talked about in their placement into college level courses, we're trying to build engaged students that are seeking out supports and that are normalizing those support systems. So that feels like something that every student should do to them, rather than feeling like if I'm not doing well, then this is sort of the punishment of having these support services in place. So that's very important outcome that we're trying to achieve. We want them to be connected to faculty and staff on campus, to have go-to people, whether that's peer mentors, success coaches, and to understand what their faculty are going to expect when they're in a college level course. We are thinking that we may see some differences between our summer bridge, more traditionally aged and traditionally experienced students, and our new spring bridge, where we're really targeting more non-traditional students. Some of that may include the technology skill level or the differences in the kinds of technologies they're using. Some of that could be the study habits and exam skills. It's been a while for some of our non-traditional students since they've been in that academic setting. And then also, having some identified career directions, even if it's not a career commitment yet, we think is really important to helping them be retained at the college. I wanted to share the 5 performance indicators that we identified for our bridge program. We have a couple of different ways that we're trying to find out if we're reaching these outcomes. One is by surveying our students in that course, and then also to use our instructor's assessment and really help determine if we're able to meet these 5 indicators and outcomes. I also want to touch on the success coaches just a little bit because that's new for Highland, and we're pretty excited about it. This is really the way that we feel we're going to be able to deliver on those wraparound services. We've restructured our success center. Part of the funding has come, or at least one of our success coaches, from the Bridge program grant. And we're expecting all of the students in our Bridge program to be matched with a success coach. And as part of that work, they'll be developing individualized success plans, and then have the ongoing support of that success coach to be sure that they're carrying out that success plan even after the Bridge program ends and they've been retained into the subsequent semesters. We're really expecting to see some improved time management, improved study and organizational skills, and also ownership of their own academic success. And then I just wanted to make sure I put out my contact information. I'm willing to answer a few questions if we have a couple minutes before Debbie King shares, or otherwise after she's finished, maybe we could both address questions. But this is my contact information. As I said, our director recently retired, but we have a new one and she's been in the department for a while. So if I can't answer your question, I'll be sure I match you up with the right person at Highland. Thanks for letting us share.
Thank you for sharing. And Debbie, same, you should be able to share right there. And
So Debbie, are you able to share? There we go.
oh, you're muted, Debbie.
Can you see the presentation?
Yep, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. So my name is Debbie King. I'm the Vice President of Student Enrollment Services at South Suburban College. South Suburban College is located in South Holland, Illinois, and we are immediately south of the city. We have, our district includes not only the south suburbs, most of Thornton Township, but also borders up against Indiana. In addition to being in the south suburbs, we are a designated predominantly Black institution, and we are also designated as an emerging Hispanic serving institution. 79% of our students are students of color. Okay, so program overview. Our program is, we are in our first year. So we are launching our Summer Bridge program. We launched it in the summer of 2022. Our program is housed in our College and Career Success Center. Within the College and Career Success Center, we have our counseling department, career services, career services, and then this program as well as our Summer Bridge program and first year experience program. Oops, sorry. We are funded to serve 30 first-time first-year students. We also have adopted a holistic approach that offers wraparound services, and our program is 100% free to participants. So not only do we pay for all tuition and books and fees, we also have partnered to provide food for the individuals that participate in our program. Our structure, our program is led by Dr. Anissa Jones, who is the Dean of our Student Development Office. It was situated within that office because Dr. Jones has historically taken the lead on our institutional orientation program and also oversees our counseling department, who teaches our overview of college success courses. So it was a natural fit. However, it is not just a program that resides in college and career success, student success. It also is a program that is institutional in nature. And so one of the things that we've learned with other programming and with our students' success in general is that across the institution, we have to work together in order to make sure our students are successful. And so we have a very wide range of internal partners that we rely on, not only for the implementation of our program, but also were fully involved with the entire development of our program. So that included our academic deans. It included our faculty. We focus on our developmental education courses and our students who need developmental education courses in order to become college ready. And so our math faculty and our English faculty have been heavily involved in not only the planning, but also the execution of this grant, of this project. Student services has been a key partner in making sure that we are able to provide wraparound services to our students. A lot of our key basic needs resources come out of our student services area. And our student services area also currently maintains the responsibility to implement mental health first aid across campus, training across campus. And so we wanted to make sure that that piece of our wraparound services was embedded in our program here at South Suburban. Financial aid, again, a key partner on our institution. Not only do they do presentations with our students, but we also have close communication between the first year experience summer bridge program and financial aid to ensure as our students are transitioning out of summer bridge and into our fall semester, that everything is accounted for and that there is an opportunity for our students to understand what their aid is prior to starting the fall semester. Recruitment and retention. Our recruitment and retention office works side by side with our College and Career Success Center. And we do that because I mentioned earlier that Dr. Jones, who is over our College and Career Success Center, is responsible for orientation, which is somewhat different than some other models that institutions may have. In order to be successful in that, we have to make sure that everyone is in lockstep. And so those communications happen, and that communication and that planning happens in lockstep with recruitment and retention. Part of what we have done over the last couple of years is hired a manager of outreach and onboarding at the institution. The goal of this position, or the responsibility of this position, is to be the single point of contact for our students once they apply for admissions at the institution, all the way through their first semester of enrollment. And that individual provides transitional services as they are coming into the institution. They have office hours with our incoming students to make sure that they're meeting all of the key indicators for successful enrollment at the institution. So it was a natural step to include them on the process of planning and executing our first year experience and summer bridge programming. And so that individual is a key component to all of this. And then, while not technically an internal partner, it is separate from the institution, our foundation has been a huge supporter of our program and has really allowed us to create a more robust opportunity for our students in terms of funding and providing things that the grants can't provide or were not funded to provide. I also want to mention that, similar to Highland, we have combined our first year experience program as a driving component of our summer bridge program. So any student who goes through our summer bridge program is automatically expected to participate in the series of events and workshops and programming that occurs around our first year experience program. We also have a robust external partner structure that has helped us. Liz mentioned earlier that, you know, sustainability is always something that is in the back of our minds, right? We know that this funding isn't going to last forever. And so we are very methodical and very intentional and strategic about making sure that things connect. One of the great things about my position is, because my office has a role in a lot of different types of funding sources, we can work to connect those funding sources to make sure that if one goes away, maybe another one can pick up what we're doing. Certainly, ideally, it's the goal to have this institutionalized, but we all know our restrictions on institutional funding and budgets doesn't always allow us to do that. So one of the things that we've been committed to is not only bringing our external partners and our internal partners together, but also making sure as an institution, anywhere there's opportunities for collaboration or overlap with other grant programs that we have, that we make sure that that connection is made. So some of our external partners include the Project Success, which I'm not sure if anybody else on here is a Project Success school. That is an initiative that is a collaborative between the U.S. Department of Education Financial Aid Office and ECMC, which is a private foundation that helps coordinate services. In addition to being a Project Success school, we are also afforded some additional funding opportunities through ECMC directly. And between those two programs, we have a food pantry that has expanded access to not just be a static food pantry, but we have mobile food options, as well as satellite stations across campus where students can grab something between classes. We have additional emergency aid that is available to our students. We have career assessment tools called Vita Navis that helps our students identify what programs we have on campus that may be a good fit for them based on a modified Myers-Briggs assessment. And then we also have a financial literacy tool that is an extensive, provides basic financial literacy, but also has an extensive tools available to our students to look beyond just basic financial literacy and true financial planning. We work with perspectives for behavioral and mental health that moves beyond what we have in-house. We work extensively with our high schools. We go directly to our high schools and ask them to provide us with student contact information that for students who may be interested or may benefit from our first year experience summer bridge programming. Our career development systems is our, we know it as CDS, and it's our collective of not only our high school partners, but our regional oversight team that can help us not only plan what's in the best interest for our students in the summer bridge program, but also make contact with those students who can best benefit from our services. And then of course the funding here, as mentioned by Liz, not only do we use Gear 2 funds, but we also use summer bridge programming. I also want to say that in addition to that, we are a workforce equity initiative school. And so they are a huge partner with us on this as well, because a lot of our students that come in, for those of you who don't know what Workforce Equity Initiative is, it is funding through the state to provide short-term programming that meets in areas that are high demand, high wage. And so all of our programs are less than a year, and that all of our academic programs that our students go through are less than a year, and provide starting wages that are 30% above livable wage standards. So, and it is a fully funded program. It is an amazing opportunity for our students. And what we were seeing is as requirements throughout the state have changed with math placement and English placement, we have seen more of our students coming in that need help in areas of developmental education. And that is actually what was the first conversation we had about needing a summer bridge program. How do we make sure that the students are prepared before they come into our WEI program, where they get full tuition for the entire duration of their career pathway? How do we get them ready for that opportunity without making them pay for that transition? And so they are a huge partner with us as well. We also work with our local municipalities. We have several champions throughout our district that are mayors or on other school boards and or within the Thornton Township community. And so we definitely capitalize on that. We work with our YWCA, and then we also work with an organization called Aunt Martha's that helps individuals who want to transition into higher education. They do some training and some preparation through their own organization, and then they provide referrals to us as well. So what we know is some of the successful program components that we have embedded are high touch programming. Any research has definitely laid the groundwork for informing all of us that when students make a connection on campus, they're more likely to be successful and to be retained. And so some of that comes in high touch programming. We have peer mentors, similar to what Liz was saying with the success coaches. Right now, in our first summer, we implemented peer mentors for that purpose. We have 6 of them. Excuse me. And those peer mentors are also trained in mental health first aid. So there's some crossover again between this program and making sure that we're meeting the overall expectation of creating an environment that is aware of mental health issues of our students. We also know that flexibility is key. We know our population pretty well, and we know that COVID and other circumstances don't always allow for our students to be to have long-term commitments that are inflexible. And so having flexibility built into our program has been vital to the success. Again, we also offer an incredible amount of support and connection to individual people. We know the difference between telling a student, hey, go over to the tutoring center or go over and see a counselor, and telling a student, hey, this is the counselor you need to see, and this is the counselor that will stay with you for your time here at the college. I mentioned earlier that we have a manager of outreach and onboarding. That manager stays with the students through the first 15 hours of the students' experience on campus. In addition to that, they have a counselor of record. So it's two different individuals that are there to support the student along the way, so that as that transition is made for the student beyond the first 15 hours, there has been some time to make that transition. And then we add that other layer of having a peer mentor available. Our next step in this process is to add student success coaches, and that student success coach will also be a single point of contact for the students that participate not only in this program, but that are enrolled at the institution. We also provide a wealth of resources. We have laptops available to our students. We have historically made hotspots for Wi-Fi available to our students. Again, we have emergency aid. There is not, we take the approach of removing every barrier that the students could possibly have in order for them to be successful. So we want to take away the reasons not to come and really get down to the conversation of why a student is not moving forward or may not feel that they can engage in this process. And then again, we focus on career pathway exploration and selection. One of the things that we are looking at right now is how do we balance, free is great for our students, but free doesn't always transition or doesn't always translate into overwhelming student engagement, right? So, you know, a lot of times when we tell our students, hey, this program is free and this is what you get, we get the, okay, what's the catch, right? Or we get the students who sign up right away and then decide, you know, 2 days before they're not doing this. And so now we're having a lot of conversations about how do we balance that. And one of the things that we're looking at that I have seen at another institution is translating the resources and the benefit of this to the student into, hey, if you successfully complete the summer bridge course, then we'll give you a free course waiver for the fall. And then if you successfully complete your courses in the fall, then we'll give you a free course waiver for the spring as a carrot to keep them enrolled and meeting our goal of persistence and retention. And that, again, that is what we're considering now, because I think we do need to balance the free with the making sure the student is committed and fully bought into the process. I know earlier, Liz mentioned that they are looking at the stipends as well, and that is something that we had explored. And, you know, we'll continue to explore, but with our student emergency aid available, again, we're thinking that the stipend is not necessarily the best fit for us, but moving forward with course waivers is. And that is where I'm at. We have some initial success metrics that we have determined. And again, I mentioned that this was our first summer. So just under 93% of our students completed the program this summer, which is great, and completed their courses with a C or better, which is exactly the goal that we had for this program. We are currently in our fall semester, so we are still collecting data for retention or full semester retention and success in the fall semester. So more to come on that.
All right. Thank you, Liz. Well, I guess Liz is responding to everyone with a question from one of the questions, but thank you, Liz and Debbie, for presenting. And we're going to open it up for questions for our speakers. So whoever would like to facilitate that, I think Brittany is looking at the chats and facilitating some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some questions coming through the chat, but also I know Liz has been in there answering some. Also, if you'd like to unmute, you're able to do that as well. Let's go through here. Like I said, it looks like Liz has answered several. So if you'd like to read through those, but then I did see one come in from Ellen. Are instructors expected to volunteer their time?
So this is Debbie. No, our faculty are not expected to volunteer their time. They are paid. So our students engage in regular summer semester courses. The best way I can describe it is like taking summer school on steroids, right? You're taking the classes as if you were just coming and taking semester classes, but the faculty, ideally the faculty who's teaching that class is someone who has committed to teaching that class, is aware of what our summer bridge program is, and has been recommended for that specific purpose. But the faculty are paid just like they would normally be paid. And then outside of class, then we work with the students on different workshops and leadership development and other holistic components of the program that are formed out of workshops and seminars. But no, fully compensated faculty.
Ditto for Highland. Those are all the positions I described are all paid positions.
Excellent. And then the next question we have in there is, are students all grouped together or based on math scores they need to enroll in? Is the goal to review developmental math so that they can start college level math courses?
So I'll start with that one. I initially, yes, it was focused on math entirely, and our goal was to bring students up to college level math, if at all possible. They're retaking that placement test at the end of the bridge program. Over time, we added reading and composition components because some students, that's where their area is. And then, continued to add those non-cognitive success skills. So math is important, and a lot of our students do need that math brush up, but we do diversify that. We are small, and therefore we don't necessarily group them by their particular area. It's a bit of a one-room schoolhouse model for us, given our size.
And we certainly have our students take the courses that are appropriate to their test scores. And as much as possible, we try to cluster them in classes. So the goal is to cluster them into the classes that they need based on the placement exam scores that they get.
Are there any other questions for Debbie or Liz? Whether it's in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
While they're thinking, I would just add in, just to make sure I'm clarifying, they are in the college level courses. They are placed according to, what they're qualified to be in. And I mentioned that they'd be taking their first year experience bridge course and then also taking a 3 credit hour course. So that 3 credit hour course is going to vary across the students that are enrolled in the bridge. It could be any 3 credit hour course based on their placement and based on their interests and their career goals.
Excellent. Thank you, Elizabeth. Go ahead.
And
Debbie.
then at South Suburban, it's the developmental course, whatever their series is that they need to complete. And then our overview of college success, which is taught by our counselors.
Okay. Thank you very much. Everyone has the opportunity to unmute, so you just need to unmute yourself if you'd like to contribute, or you can post those questions in the chat. I do want to thank our presenters. And while we are letting people formulate their questions, I'm going to move to our next slide here, maybe, and ask Dina if there is any updates or ideas from ICCB that we need to hear about today, any discussion topics.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. I don't really have a lot of updates. I appreciate everyone who has turned in their quarterly reports. So I'm just starting to look through to see where you are in your progress with learning renewal. And, we want to keep tracking that as much as possible. But one thing I would encourage for those of you who haven't been in other meetings with me is to start thinking about what Liz was mentioning with the sustainability of this. Because we do know that these Gear 2 funds, they are, they're going to end eventually, and kind of thinking about how you can extend not just, these particular programs, if you're looking at bridge programs, but any of the services that you've been offering through learning renewal, because what we're seeing from your reporting is that these are really necessary services, academic and social emotional. So just going to start trying to encourage you to think about that, gathering the data, which you're doing for me in part, but also on your own campuses to see how that can hopefully propel these to continue on as this year of funding wraps up. So that's really everything that I have, Amy. I don't have a lot of updates today.
Thank you, Dina. Any questions for ICCB? Any questions for Dina today? Okay, and again, you can still unmute if you have questions for Elizabeth, if you have questions for Debbie, if you have questions for Dora, any of our presenters today, we'd love to have you engage with those. I do have one kind of an update on my end, so I'm going to pause real quick though. Are there any other questions for our presenters? And so I'm going to share with you a trauma series that we have coming up real quick. So as I'm sure you're aware, as we've moved through the pandemic, trauma has been something that our students have been exposed to, our administrators have been exposed to, our faculty has been exposed to, and it's really unfortunately been part of our day-to-day life. And so this series is specifically designed for Illinois community colleges. It is coming up starting November 30th. And you can see the dates there. With the first day, we're going to, and I'm going to read you the descriptions, and then this marketing will be out and you'll be able to sign up very shortly. Sorry, I've just got to move y'all over a second so I can, yeah, there we go. I only have so many screens. So the first one is Impact of Trauma, and that'll be November 30th. Again, all of these sessions will be 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Understanding the impact of trauma on the development of the brain and learning responses, strategies to build resilience of youth and communities. The trainers will cover adolescent development, childhood trauma, resilience, and recovery. So really looking at all those things that impact trauma. The next series, or the next part of our 4-part series, will be December 7th, and that's Culture and Trauma. And that trauma has a context, and the context oftentimes has the cultural and historical roots. This training will explore the relationship between trauma and culture by looking specifically at the populations who are at risk of experiencing trauma. Participants will also learn about the ways power and oppression impacts trauma and access to resources. And participants will also learn about resilience and protective factors that this community can build into combat trauma. Finally, on December 14th, we're going to get to, well, not finally, our third part on December 14th, we're going to talk about vicarious trauma. And this is for our instructors, for our administrators, for anybody who's been supporting students who have been experiencing trauma, or anyone who is experiencing trauma. The people who are the support part is that vicarious trauma. Participants will discuss caring trauma and how to learn to identify and address the signs and symptoms of each. Additionally, participants will contextualize the concept of examination and systematic issues that can contribute to trauma. And participants will learn about ways to address trauma and promote individuals' organizational self-care. And then finally, when we come back from holiday on January 25th, we will come back in 2023 and discuss trauma-informed supervision. So for those of you who are in a supervisor role, which I know many of you are, designed for anyone who operates in a leadership management capacity. This training helps professionals learn to effectively manage and relate to individuals they supervise. Participants will learn to provide trauma-informed supervision by learning about the way trauma can impact staff and recognize signs of compassion, fatigue, and vicarious trauma. So that is a 4-part series. The presenters for that series will be ICOI, which is why their name is on there. So just wanted to let you be aware of that. And then a couple questions in the chat. Can we receive a copy of today's recording? Yes, absolutely. That'll be on our website. And our website's going to launch next week. So you'll be able to see that and see all of the registration forms on there. Please feel free to reach out. Debbie has said to her directly with additional questions. And can the schedule of the trauma sessions be sent to us as well? Absolutely. That'll come out tomorrow in a promotion from ICCB, but that'll also be available on our website. I think that's everything in the chat. Brittany, am I seeing anything else exciting in the chat there?
Nope, I don't think so. And Amy, if you want, I'm happy to put the link to the website in there so people have it. It's not beautiful yet, but we're working on it. But that way, if they wanted to have that and kind of just go ahead and save that to their favorites toolbar, I'm happy to put that in there.
Sure, or we can, yeah, we can do that. And then just be aware that we'll be updating it and adding stuff out there to it as we move along. And then yes, all the registrations for each of the learning renewal convenings will be on there, as well as the ICOI series. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Amy, can I jump in just real
Please
quickly?
do,
I
yeah.
wanted to mention, yes, I just wanted to mention that while the ICOI series, the trauma series, is something that we are doing through Learning Renewal funds, and obviously it's going to be going out to all the folks who are on our Learning Renewal listserv. I really want to encourage you to share it with other folks on your campus who, might find it useful in the work that they're doing. So don't feel as if it has to be limited to just the people who are on that list. I think I have about 60 people running now on my Learning Renewal listserv, but we have the capacity for more than that for registration. And I would love to see more people, engaged in that, because I think it's going to be an amazing session, a group of sessions. And I would like as many staff and faculty and whomever might be interested in attending to jump on that and to get registered for it.
Yes, and there's no cost for anybody to attend any of these things, and we have 1,000 seats, so invite your mom, brothers, sisters, family, have them all join us. We'd love to have it. Any other questions, comments, any challenges or things with the learning renewal process that you have questions about you'd like to share out? Discussion points for today. Okay, our chat that was once very lively has become quite quiet. So thank you all for your time today. I want to thank our speakers. So a virtual round of applause for them. A virtual round of applause. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Dora, for coordinating that for us. Great information, great sharing. And thank you for making yourself available for follow-up questions. We really do appreciate it. With that, we will be joining November 30th again as the first part of the Impact of Trauma series, and then we'll be coming back in December for our convening. So thank you all so much for your time today.